As we discussed last week, in April 2025, a new set of US tariffs was introduced under the renewed Trump administration. The severity of the tariffs levied on China and the US's, particularly Trump's, oft-cited gripes about China's alleged trade practices beg the questions. Are these tariffs ultimately really aimed at China? And the rest of the tariffs on other countries are either a smokescreen or collateral damage. The trade war between the United States and China, which began in earnest in 2018 and reignited in 2025 under the new round of tariffs, provides a stark example of how tariffs can reshape the global economy. The US imposed sweeping tariffs on Chinese imports, citing concerns over intellectual property theft, unfair subsidies, and a massive trade imbalance. China responded with its own tariffs targeting US agriculture, energy, and technology. This tit-for-tat escalation disrupted global markets. Farmers in the US lost access to key export markets. Chinese manufacturers faced rising costs, and multinational companies scrambled to reconfigure their supply chains. According to a 2019 study by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, US consumers bore nearly the full cost of these tariffs through higher prices. Economists estimate that the trade war reduced global GDP growth and cost hundreds of billions of dollars in lost trade volume. Trade tariffs, taxes imposed by a government on imported goods, are among the oldest instruments of economic policy. While often framed as tools to protect domestic industries, generate revenue, or correct trade imbalances, tariffs can have wide-ranging effects that ripple through domestic markets and the global economy. In an era of deeply interconnected supply chains and globalized commerce, the imposition of tariffs can create disruptions far beyond the borders of the countries directly involved. A tariff is essentially a fee levied on imports. By increasing the cost of foreign goods, tariffs aim to make domestic products more competitive. Governments may use tariffs for various reasons: protecting infant industries, counteracting unfair trade practices, reducing trade deficits, or responding to geopolitical disputes. However, while tariffs can offer short-term benefits for select domestic sectors, they often produce broader economic consequences, including inflation, reduced consumer choice, and retaliatory trade measures. Trade tariffs are not purely economic tools. They are also political instruments. They appeal to populist sentiments and are often used to demonstrate a government's resolve in defending national interests. However, their political popularity may not always align with long-term economic interests. Businesses, consumers, and workers often suffer the unintended consequences of protectionism, even as governments seek short-term political gains. Furthermore, when used as part of a geopolitical strategy, as with the US-China confrontation, tariffs become entangled in broader issues such as national security, technology leadership, and global influence. This complexity makes resolution difficult as economic compromise may be seen as geopolitical capitulation. But in today's hyper-globalized world, trade tariffs have implications far beyond their original scope. Modern economies are intertwined through complex supply chains. Components of a single product may cross multiple borders before reaching the final consumer. Imposing tariffs in such a context can lead to disrupted supply chains, increased consumer prices, contributing to inflation, reduced economic efficiency due to distorted market signals, leading to resource misallocation as businesses are forced to adjust not to comparative advantage but to political directives and investment uncertainty because of policy volatility. The macroeconomic impact of tariffs can be severe. By distorting price signals and trade flows, tariffs introduce inefficiencies that hinder productivity growth. Over time, this can result in slower GDP growth, stagflation, and geoeconomic fragmentation. Moreover, in an inflation-sensitive environment, like the one experienced globally in the post-COVID and post-energy crisis era, tariffs can exacerbate already higher consumer prices, making monetary policy responses more complex. Trade tariffs have re-emerged as a key feature of American international economic policy. While they may serve political agendas and possibly offer short-term relief to some domestic industries, the long-term costs are significant. They disrupt trade, inflate prices, sow uncertainty, and risk deepening global divisions. To mitigate these effects, policymakers must balance the strategic objectives of tariffs with the economic realities of global interdependence. Dialogue, multilateral cooperation, and reforms to existing trade frameworks may offer more sustainable solutions than protectionist measures. As the world navigates the complex terrain of 21st century trade, the stakes are higher than ever for economies, for workers, and for the future of global cooperation.